Hi there, welcome back to Camera Then Coffee, where you and me talk anything and everything about deserving cameras. And today, let's break down the specs of the new Panasonic GH6 and the equally new Sony a7 IV. It's a new channel, so if you find this video helpful, do consider subscribing. It helps me when you do that. Cool, let's begin. So the new hybrid camera Panasonic Lumix GH6 was finally unveiled on 22nd Feb, 4 months after the release of much liked Sony a7 IV, and it is priced at approximately $2,200, $300 less than the Sony a7 IV. Now let's find out which one is good for you. Let's start with image specs. The new GH6 features 25.2 megapixel live MOS sensor versus the 33 megapixel full frame sensor on Sony a7 IV. Now this is a no-brainer. We all know that a7 IV will definitely get you better images because better the sensor, better is the resolution and dynamic range, which makes the camera deliver highly detailed images. On top of that, Sony a7 IV is a full frame camera. So honestly speaking, as a photographer, if I have to choose between these two, I would definitely go with Sony a7 IV. And these are the formats in which both the cameras capture and deliver final images. One really good thing is that both the cameras are powered by the latest processors of the respective companies, and together the new sensor and the powerful processor allows good continuous shooting on both the cameras. Comparatively, GH6 has a high frequency continuous shooting, both mechanical and silent. So if 10 FPS is not enough for you, you might want to consider GH6. Speaking of ISO, both the cameras offer good range. But one thing which puts a7 IV ahead of GH6 is its wider expandable ISO range, which goes down to 50 and 2,48,000 on the higher side. And speaking of shutter speed, as you can see, the new beast has more to offer. Now let's talk about autofocus. Both cameras houses advanced and latest autofocus system which allows smooth and confident continuous focusing in all the recording modes. On one side we have contrast autofocus system in GH6, and on the other side we have Sony's promising fast hybrid face detection and contrast detection autofocus system. If we talk about numbers, where GH6 has 314 AF points, a7 IV on the other hand is blessed with 759 face detection autofocus points and 425 densely positioned contrast detection autofocus points, which will definitely boost the AF performance. Here, points do make a difference, but still, I would suggest you to look at some real tests before buying one. If we talk about nighttime photography or low light situation when the light is not in our favor, both the cameras will focus down to light level of -4.0 EV. On top of this, eye, face and head detection on both the cameras is really good, which ensures that the shots are sharp and in focus. And yes, both the cameras have animal detection. And not to forget the focus limiter feature on the new GH6, which allows us to see the minimum and maximum focus distance limit. Looking at the dimensions of both the cameras, GH6 seems to be both bigger and heavier than the Sony a7 IV, which is I think because of the larger grip and built-in cooling fan. Cherry on the top, even the a7 IV has a heat dissipation structure which lets it record videos for longer period of time. Good for creators, both the cameras have articulating touchscreen which is really helpful when taking a high angle or low angle shot, and obviously when you are vlogging. But the one on GH6 can also be tilted like the Fuji X-T3, which prevents HDMI and USB cable to collide with the screen. Next up is viewfinder, which is similar on both the cameras with 3.68 million dots, and sadly both the cameras don't have an inbuilt flash, which is fine because external flash is always a better option. One really good thing about both the cameras is that they allow high-speed CF Express card to rest inside the camera and deliver faster writing speed and better buffer capabilities. Wow! Speaking of batteries, both the cameras have almost similar internally chargeable batteries. However, on papers it looks like the a7 IV has better battery capacity both in case of stills as well as videos. However, in real life it varies a lot and totally depends on the way we use it. As far as weather sealing is concerned, both the cameras are not really weather sealed. Although the camera features dust and water resistant construction, this cannot completely prevent dust or water droplets from entering the camera. Now, before I talk about video specs, let's have a quick look at the ports on both the cameras. And now the video specs, where lies a lot of differences. The GH6 has an edge over A7 IV as it offers anamorphic 5.8K up to 30p and 5.7K up to 60p. Not just that, if we talk about 4K, the GH6 offers Cinema 4K and UHD 4K up to 120p, whereas the A7 offers only UHD 4K up to 60p. And the good part is both the cameras don't have any recording limit. Next up is Full HD recording, and as you can see, GH6 is way ahead of Sony A7 IV. And just like internal recording, both the cameras offer great specs in external recording. Talking about log recording, both the cameras have their best logs. And thanks to the great processing power, GH6 allows us to internally record ProRes 422HQ and ProRes 422 codec videos in 5.7K up to 30p. And in near future, it will also be available for other resolutions through a firmware update. And lastly, Sony A7 IV can be directly used for 4K or Full HD live streaming without the need of any extra software, and at the same time you can internally record your stream. Whereas Panasonic hasn't really specified anything about live streaming. But as soon as I get to know about it, I will mention it in the description below. And how can we forget the in-body image stabilization on both the cameras? The Dual IS2 image stabilizer on GH6 combines the control of body IS and lens OIS to offer 7.5 stops worth of correction, which is 5.5 stops on Sony A7 IV. But not to forget, Sony A7 IV also has an active mode in which the camera records gyro sensor data, and then we can use that data to further stabilize our shots in post-production. This is it, guys, and honestly speaking, no matter which one you choose, you won't be disappointed. If you still have any queries, feel free to ask and I would love to answer them. If you found the video helpful, do support me by subscribing. See you in the next video.